class. We are learning new topics this week. For today, we're going to be talking about square roots. We're going to take this as slow as possible. We're going to do some questions together, and then you guys are going to do some on your own. Okay, so on your worksheet, you should have the together questions and on your own questions. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of instruction. We're going to do some questions together, and then you're going to do the rest on your own, okay? And watch the video as many times as you need so you can practice the steps. Do not stress out. You can do this. And if you have any questions, email me, okay? So let's talk about square roots. Well, there's two words here, square and root, okay? So there's a squaring, and we're talking about squares, okay? And the roots are meaning that it comes from something, okay? So when we're given a square root, that came from the square. So a squared, right? And if we take the square root of a squared, we would get positive and negative a, okay? So if we looked at a number, if we had 4 squared, we know 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16, right? Well, if we take the square root of 16, we get positive and negative 4. And you're probably thinking, why are there a positive and negative answer to this, right? Well, if we have 4 times 4, and they're both positive, that gives us 16. Well, if we do negative 4 times negative 4, we still get positive 16. So, every positive number has 2 square roots, okay? This symbol is called the square root. It is a radical symbol, okay? This symbol up here, the plus and minus, is exactly what it means. It's just plus or minus. It just indicates that there's 2 square roots, okay? Let's see. Let's just jump right into the questions, and if you guys have any questions, write it down and you can shoot me an email, okay? So these are the together questions. We have the square root of 64. So I have to think, what square, right? So something like this, right, is going to give me the 64. So what times what equals 64? It has to be the same number. Well, you'd say 8, right? But remember, every positive number has 2 square roots. So we write plus and minus 8. Number 2, we have negative square root of 100. Okay, this is where it starts to get a little tricky when there's a negative on the outside and inside. Okay, this is just saying we have to find a square root of 100, so what times what equals 100, that's the same number, which we know is 10. So the square root of 100 is 10. But because there's this negative, we're only indicating we're taking the negative root. Okay? Number 3, what is the square root plus or minus 0? So plus or minus the square root of 0. So what would that be? Well, 0 is not a positive number, it's not a negative, it's neutral. So what times what gives us 0? That's the same number. 0. The square root of 0, even if it looked like this, would still be 0. Okay? The next one, number 4, we look at the square root of negative 25. You might be thinking to yourself, well, the square root of negative 25 would be, it's probably negative 5, like we did up here. But that's not the case. Anytime you have a negative inside the square root symbol, this is going to be undefined. Okay, or no solution. There's not an answer to that. It's impossible. Okay? You'll learn how that becomes actually possible in like Algebra 2 and pre-calculus. Okay? That's dealing with imaginary numbers. You do not have to worry about that right now. Okay, number 5. I have plus or minus the square root of 9 over 16. So I have a fraction. You might be freaking out. Don't freak out. There's an easy way to solve this. Okay, so we have the square root of 9 and 16. Okay, so we're just going to break this apart. We're going to put our equal sign, right? We're going to separate the square roots. So we have a fraction. So we're going to take the square root of 9 over the square root of 16. I'm going to carry my positive and negative. Okay? What is the square root of 9? What times what gives you 9? It's the same number. 3. What's the square root of 16? We know from above that that's 4. So our answer is positive and negative 3/4 for this one. Okay, so take it like that for the next one. The square root of 4 divided by 9, or 4/9. So I take the square root of 4 over the square root of 9. So I break it apart. Well, I know that the square root, right, of 4 is 2. The square root of 9, we know, is 3. 2/3. Okay? So, you can, oops, I forgot to write my plus and minus. Positive and negative 2/3. Okay? Next one, the square root of 121. What times what gives me 121, but it has to be the same number? If you said 11, you're correct. It's definitely 11. Don't forget to add your positive and negative, your plus and minus. Number 8. We talk about the negative being inside the square root. So what happens when the negative is inside the square root? Undefined. Okay, or you can put no solution. Okay? It's as simple as this, but if you're having trouble with it, remember to watch the video as many times as you need. Shoot me any questions that you may have, and remember, do not stress out. We're taking this slow. All right, you guys have a great day. Bye.